Good evening, gamblers, and welcome back to an episode of Fighter Stonks presented to you by Prediction Strike. We are talking UFC 282. We are going to go over the full card and break down the upper end trajectory of some of these fighters and see if there's any investable opportunities. Not so much on the money line, but maybe thinking a little bit more long term here at UFC 282 coming up on Saturday. I am joined by the man himself, Manpreet, my co-host, as always. Locke, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, dude. I'm good. I've been kind of chomping at the bit to do this prediction strike video just because, like, it's another aspect of us to bet on fights, right? And we're not getting tied to money lines and anything like that. This is another way to try to get some good price tags on guys that might be too heavy of favorites come Saturday night, but just another way of going out there and trying to squeeze a couple bucks out of the MMA game. We're not Ariel Hawani over here making money off the fighters like that. Yeah, you know what I mean? Shout out to my guy Ariel. Always love him and just tease him there. But no, I'm looking forward to this card and looking forward to breaking down from a prediction strike perspective with you, my friend.
Absolutely agreed. And honestly, man, hey, with how much we talk about fights and stuff like that, any shift in the format, anything a little bit different, kind of approach it from a different direction, always makes it a little bit more fun. So I'm definitely here for it. Folks, make sure if you're going to play with us here, sign up over on Prediction Strike and use the code that's running across the screen down there below. Promo code LOCK will get you a free fighter stonk every time if you want to go ahead and sign up using that code. Let's get right on into it, man. First fight of the night. We have got none other than Cameron Simon sitting at 75 cents. UFC debut. That's about where they get started. Versus Steven Kozlow coming in at 30 cents. I mean, I know we've got a favorite and an underdog situation, but usually they drop them in around 50, 60 cents, something like that. This is a low number, even for a debuting fighter here in Kozlow at 30 cents. And as you can see, even though he is relatively new here, Cameron Simon has been bought on a little bit since he got added into the system. He jumped up immediately. Some people are investing already in Cameron Simon. Luck, do you have a feel on this one? Do you think one of these fighters is more or less investable?
I do think that the Simon side is a little bit more investable here. I think he does have a bright future. Obviously, Kozlow is a little bit of an unknown at this point in time. And I personally have taken a shot on him myself, a 0.3 unit shot on his money line because I think it's a little bit wide. And I think he is strong in parts of the game that Cameron Simon has shown struggles in the past. So maybe this unknown is going to be the next big prospect. I think on the money line, it's worth a shot. But in terms of from the prediction strike perspective, sure, you can get it on the 30-cent side for Steven Kozlow as well. Maybe that's a serious buy low spot, knowing what he could potentially turn into. But even on the Simon side at 75 cents, this is a kid who, if he is able to put it all together, is going to be a very hot prospect and will continue to see his price raise. He's going to turn 22 10 days after this fight, Clint. So very, very young that you're getting him at, especially at the 75-cent range. You won't see as big of a bump should he get his hand raised this weekend, but you might be happy to get him at 75 cents because who knows? He might be at $1 come the next time that he ends up fighting. So I think both guys are investable, right? We don't know too much about Kozlow. Maybe this 30-cent price tag is going to be a steal by this time next year. So I wouldn't mind investing on both sides, if I'm being honest, and then seeing where they end up going over the next couple fights.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that one. I've been very, very tempted to just kind of cover my eyes and throw a dart here at Kozlow just because, he's won all 6 of his fights by first round sub. So he's got a skill set. You know what I mean? Whether or not that's something that translates to the UFC, we'll find out. And Cameron Simon, frankly, we don't know a whole lot about him either. Yeah, we saw him on Contender Series. Does that mean he's ready for the UFC? Those guys fail in their debut all the time. So yeah, I'm with you. One of those ones where if you've got a hard lean, go ahead and get in. These numbers are only going to go up from here depending on who gets that win on Saturday night. Next fight up, we've got Daniel Da Silva, which I got to go back here and see the fall from grace. The man was
he ever in the grace though, Clint?
Kind of like he was, training partner of the champ coming in with that finish rate. Like I thought Daniel Da Silva was going to be better than he has been. So, it's been all dump off Daniel Da Silva since he got here. He is taking on UFC newcomer Vinicius Salvador, who's the opposite story, coming off Contender Series. Obviously, some people here are already buying in here a little bit on this guy. And frankly, with the way that we see the fights with Daniel Da Silva go, this is going to be a finish. So if you like Vinicius Salvador, he's probably winning this thing by knockout. He's going to get that extra bonus money. This is a good time to get in investment-wise if you think he's going to be something long-term. Frankly, Locke, I don't. Honestly, if anything, I personally would take the dip on Daniel Da Silva because even though he's been a little bit round one or bust, he kind of seems Charles Oliveira-esque to me. He had a rough start when he was young. He had a hard time, some bumps in the road early on in his career, and he figured it out. If he so happens to get a win on Saturday and manages to get an extension on his contract, this is the guy I think that you'd be buying low. And with that finishing upside he's got, that price tag could skyrocket if he gets 2 or 3 wins that he puts together. It's not one I'm super interested in, but that's kind of the way I'd be leaning, would be dog or pass, money line and prediction strike. How about you?
It's just hard for me to get behind a guy that has consistent cardio issues, like either
Yes.
kills and gets the win or goes out on his shield. And that's the story of Daniel Da Silva's career. And he's pretty much been carried out on his shield in his last 3 fights every single time. The guy has early success, but then he ends up gassing out 4 minutes into a fight, which is, unheard of at that flyweight division. And then he ends up getting finished. Yes, he is going to be a ball of energy early on here. And yes, he could potentially land some big shots on Salvador early. But should this fight reach that 4 or 5, maybe even 6-minute mark, Da Silva's going to fall off a cliff. And I think that we'll see Salvador really take over there. From a prediction strike perspective, I think Salvador is good enough to get a couple wins. I mean, maybe his first 2-3 fights, depending on how the UFC matches him up, I think that he'll be a good spot here. I like him in this fight. I don't like him at the chalk price that he's on with his money line and his bet, like just straight up conventional betting. But from a prediction strike perspective, this might be the better way to squeeze out a couple bucks from him in this matchup without being, overly exposed and getting a minimal return. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Salvador side. I think this is the last time we get to bet any sort of violence on Daniel Da Silva, as he likely gets his walking papers after losing this fight.
That's probably true. Probably true. All right.
Sorry to dispel it, Cody. Yeah. Clint,
Cody,
God damn it.
You've been... It's like you've been doing another show cheating on me or something. What the hell is this?
Don't look at the All-Star. Don't go over there. Just don't.
It's like saying the wrong name in bed with your woman, man. That's not even cool. All right. So next up, Eric Silva, 93 cents, taking on TJ Brown, who is a solid 78 cents. And this is one of those weird situations where there's different numbers on prediction strikes. It provides a little bit of an opportunity. We've got a guy making his UFC debut who is price tagged higher than the UFC caliber experienced TJ Brown. Now, TJ Brown is a former Contender Series guy himself. The new kid is 35 years old. That's kind of late to be getting into the game. What do you make of this one, Locke?
Yeah, it was very weird. His first professional MMA fight was when he was 29. You don't often see that, and somebody actually make it to the UFC after starting their career so late. But the guy's gone out there and just finished dude after dude after dude, right? 9-1 record, last 6 fights coming via finish in that first round. So good work from him. But now he actually takes a step up in competition. Is he going to be able to go out there and ragdoll his opponents like he has done in the past? I don't think so. Like, I think we'll get that resistance from TJ Brown. And I think TJ Brown likely has more paths to victory, not to mention the higher level of experience that he's been going up against over his last several fights. So, like, the line is a pick 'em line from the betting perspective. But on prediction strike, you're going to get a decent bump here should you look to invest on him here going up against Eric Silva, considering that he's technically the underdog from a prediction strike perspective. So, like even at 93 cents, I'm not sure what the ceiling is on Eric Silva, right? We see a lot of guys come from the regional scene with nothing but finishes on their record until they go up against decent competition and then they start to falter. They either show cardio issues or they just showcase that they're not as good of a nail as they are a hammer, essentially. So I like the TJ Brown side here. I don't have a bet on it. I don't want to bet it myself. Like, I've never really seen TJ Brown as a super reliable fighter, but just taking the narrative of him being a tad bit more proven, him being a legit step up in competition for Eric Silva, I think he has decided here from a betting perspective and a prediction strike perspective.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you right there, man. I am not super into this fight, really. This is the Dana White Contender Series fade spot where now that TJ Brown has hit plus 100, I should be piling in on that side because the angle says it so to be. But I can't quite bring myself to do it. I've got, bad nightmares from backing TJ Brown in the past, but he's been training with Thug Nasty. So like if you're ever going to get a good solid trading partner, especially for the style that guy usually brings to the table, that's probably the right guy to be hanging out with. I think TJ Brown long term, mostly just because of the age, but he's not a guy I want a whole lot of investment in, period, anyway. So I do think he's limited. Moving along, we got Billy Q, one of the fan favorites, especially on MMA Twitter. The man is 78 cents. He's been around for a minute, taking on Alexander Hernandez, 77 cents, a guy who I've had a very back and forth, up and down relationship with. I have always liked Alexander Hernandez probably more than I should, Locke, frankly. Like he's that guy that I continue to go back to the well with. I can see the upside. I can see the explosiveness, the knockout power, the wrestling. It all seems like it should be there. And then he lets me down. So I am a little scared to go back to him here in this spot. And we know his gas tank is a problem. Dropping down a new weight class, you got to think he probably gets his walking papers sooner than later if he drops this one, right? Like it makes it seem like there's not a whole lot of investment opportunity with Alexander Hernandez, because this really could be near the end of the road. He might get one more crack at it if he loses to Billy Q on Saturday. But Billy Q on the flip side of this thing, I mean, kind of a similar story, man. He's had a bit of a rough go of it himself, and if he gets starched by Alexander Hernandez, I think he's good enough, popular enough, he'll probably stick around. But he's kind of a mid-tier guy to me at this point. I don't think Billy Q is headed for the title. I don't know that he's going to make a run at the division. So both these guys are kind of one and done opportunities for me. I don't know that I want to load up and hold on to my stock for either of these fighters.
I'm more so on the Billy Q side here, man, and obviously on the betting line, he's a -160, -170 favorite, but you're getting him pretty much at a pick and price here against Alexander Hernandez, essentially. But it's just that Billy Q style, which is so hard for a lot of fighters to deal with. This guy drags you into deep waters and then drowns you, unless you are technically better than him and you can deal with the pace and pressure that he always puts on his opponents. Gavin Tucker, a guy that was able to deal with that pace and pressure and was technically better than him, able to get his hand raised in that fight. Gabriel Benitez, a guy that we know is a technically great fighter, he couldn't keep up with the pace and pressure of Billy. Billy was able to drown him. That's where I think Alexander Hernandez falls into, though. Like, I think he is a guy that is, a lot of his success has come from his physical traits and his physical gifts, but like his technical abilities are still trying to catch up with his physical gifts that he has. And I think that's going to be the downfall for him. Not to mention the fact that he's going down to featherweight for the first time in 9 years. This guy looks, jacked and ripped and shredded at 155 pounds. How he's going to have to go out there and cut another 10 pounds is beyond me. We are about, just 12 hours over 12 hours away from finding out if he even makes the featherweight limit. So that's one thing that a lot of people are going to have their eyes on. We'll see if he does it. But I think that Billy Q, good weight cut or not from Alexander Hernandez, I think Billy Q drowns him. I think his durability is good enough to deal with that early finishing, threat that Hernandez presents. And then after that, I think that we see Billy finish him late. I do think that Billy Q has some longevity in the UFC, though, but he will succumb against the guys that are much better than him, right? Shane Burgos, another guy. It's kind of a close fight, but Burgos, technically better than him, was able to beat him. I do think that Billy Q will be that. And I mean this with all due respect, because I love Billy Q. Who doesn't, right? The guy's a fun character on Twitter and social media and all that, and has a fun personality, plain and simple. But like, I think he's going to be that top 15 gatekeeper for this division. I think he'll stick around for probably the rest of his career. I really think he's that good and that durable and has that style that is going to force guys to work and will break most fighters that don't deserve to be in that top 15. But then he will lose against the Gavin Tuckers of the world, lose against the Shane Burgoses of the world. But I think he beats a guy like Alexander Hernandez, if I'm being honest here. So prediction strike, I'm in. I'll hold on to that Billy Q stock and just base it on what his matchups look like moving forward, and then decide to sell or buy on him based on that.
Okay. You have a much stronger opinion than I do. I've got that bad feeling that it's a round one starching on Saturday. That's the creeping sensation that I have here for poor Billy Q. We'll find out, though. We'll see.
How dare you, Clint?
I know. I'm sorry. Next up, Chris the Action Man Curtis sits at $1.33 here on Prediction Strike, and we've got a pick'em price tag. Joaquin Buckley is also $1.33. And frankly, on prediction strike, this is one-way traffic to me, Lock. Like, I don't see how you're supposed to invest in Chris Curtis. I love the guy. I love the guy. But he just fell short against Jack Hermanson. We're not going to see him up taking a title shot at 185. Maybe if he gets his shit together and drops down to 170, but he's just more of a fun slinging kind of guy. I don't think he's ever going to see the title shot. I think he's going to bank those fight of the night type of checks and just hang around the middle of the road. Now, that's not to say there isn't value there. His number will go up, but on prediction strike, we're looking for the home run. We're looking for the guy that moves all the way up to being $5 and $6 because they put the gold belt around his waist. That's never happening for Chris Curtis just because of the way he fights and the way he treats his career. It's capped. So I'm not sure how much invested I want to get with Chris Curtis on prediction strike. I think he's a nice live dog on Saturday. I don't mind taking the bet on him on Saturday, but I don't want to put anything on prediction strike. Joaquin Buckley, much younger. He's also a guy that I think, similarly to Chris Curtis, could probably do really well if he got his shit together and lost a couple of pounds, dropped down a weight class. I think he'd be knocking heads down at 170. So I do think there's some upside maybe long-term for Joaquin Buckley, but considering how close this fight is here on Saturday, I might wait to see how Saturday turns out before I jump in.
Yeah, this is for me personally, this is the stay away fight. There's not a good enough line on either side from a betting perspective and even the prediction strike perspective, because I don't think either guy has a huge ceiling in the UFC. Like I don't think that Buckley cements himself in the top 15. I don't think that Curtis cements himself in the top 15. And I agree with you that he should go back to the weight class that he was originally successful at on the regional scene. Welterweight. Stop fighting these giant guys. Now, Buckley a little bit closer to his size, but like we saw the size discrepancy in the Jack Hermanson fight and how that could pose issues to a guy like Chris Curtis. I do think Buckley gets his hand raised here, but I think he's one of those guys that's going to go out there and continuously trade wins and losses. Like I know he is coming off that loss against Imavov. Maybe he gets a 2-fight winning streak going after this fight, but he's not a guy that I see like getting a whole lot of momentum going to get into that top 10 of the middleweight division or anything like that. I think his skill set is limited, and I think these guys are a match made in heaven in terms of putting on a very entertaining fight. But we're looking, like you said, we're looking for those slam dunks, and I don't really think we're getting one here with either guy. Prediction is going to be Buckley, but I want nothing to do with this fight.
Completely agree. Completely agree. All right. Except that, my prediction is Chris Curtis. So
of course it is.
Of course it is. Action man, baby. He's been good to me. All right. Moving along, we got none other than the golden boy, Edmen Shahbazyan, $1.35. He's sitting right where he started. Dalchalungiambula is 51 cents, the discount rack over here on Prediction Strike. And again, one-way traffic for me, Luck. It's golden boy season. Not only that, he's not going to knock Dalcha out. He's going to club and sub Dalcha on Saturday and cash that 800 sub prop. You watch. I called it. So we're going to get a finish out of my guy, Edmen Shahbazyan, on Saturday. And you guys know on Prediction Strike, that boosts up that dollar value. That price tag gets a little cleaner. And on top of that, he is super, super good long-term, I would think, right? Like, we're not sure exactly what a ceiling is, but the UFC and all of his coaches and trainers, look at the competition he's been facing lately. They thought this guy was going to make a run for youngest champion in UFC history. They were pushing him up to the title as quickly as they possibly could. He's the shit. So if he even captures a portion of that hype moving forward, Lock, I do think he will get up to $3 and $4. Maybe he doesn't get the belt. Maybe he doesn't get to 5 and 6, but he becomes a contender. And the way he's got hands, he knocks people out. That price tag is going to move up. So I think Edmen Shahbazyan's a pretty solid Prediction Strike play.
Yeah, I do like him in this spot as well. I know you're on the inside the distance line. I'm personally on the inside the distance line as well. And I think that this is going to be a good jumping off point to buy in on him and at $1.35. I do think he'll put together a couple good wins. I think that move to Extreme Couture was the best thing he's done for his career. I think we'll see a rejuvenated version of him. And I think that we'll see the guys over at Extreme Couture. Shout out to Eric Nixick and the rest of the guys over there. But I think that they'll exaggerate how good Edmen Shahbazyan is. And I mean that in the best way possible. Like, I think they'll get him to remember what he's so good at and how to extrapolate his positive results by putting him in positions where he can go out and get that knockout or go out there and get that submission, which I know that you're hoping he's fishing for here. But I like him here. I think $1.35 don't expect a huge bump with a win this weekend,
Sure.
but you'll be thankful to get that $1.35 line or that entry point when he is closer to that $2, $3 as he starts racking up W's once again.
Exactly. This is the point where you want to get in. This is the spot where you can look back on this type of an investment and feel good about it after, a 3-fight winning streak or something like that. I'm glad we agree on that one, Locke.
Yes,
Next
sir.
up, Jairzinho Rosenstruik taking a big dip. My man was sitting up about $3.50. Now he's a little bit cheaper. Chris Dawkins is $2.19. And Lock, this fight gives me the heebie-jeebies. Chris Dawkins was a guy that just had all the momentum in his career. Complete drop-off here, over $1.50 lost at this point. And everybody and their mother, myself included, just is all piling in on Jairzinho Rosenstruik on Saturday. I think he knocks Chris Dawkins out. I like that side myself as well. But it's making me suspicious how we're all on the same exact side here this week. When it comes to prediction strike, though, kind of neither guy. I mean, we've seen the ceiling, I think, for Jairzinho Rosenstruik. He's going to be a fun guy. He's going to knock a bunch of mid-tier guys out. But as soon as he gets up to like the top 8, that's when he can't hang. He's just too small for the division. He's not volume enough. He's not fast enough. He gets taken out by these bigger guys that are really contenders. And I kind of think Dawkins needs to switch weight classes. I think he's a little too small to be at 265. And even though he's got that hand speed, he just can't hang with these big bodies. So I don't really want either of these guys as far as a prediction strike investment. What about you?
I've broken down this card maybe 3 times already this week, but
Mm-hmm.
this is the first time where I'm actually like putting 2 and 2 together, and with the Shabazi and Dawkins fights being back to back, and both guys were in similar positions. Right, both guys were guys that were highly touted after the winning streak that they had when they first came into the UFC. But when they get their first main event slot, that's when they end up shitting the bed there, and that's where we see that they have a bit of a ceiling, and that's how we saw that Chris Dawkins has a bit of a ceiling. Like, it's no shame to get knocked out by a guy like Derek Lewis. Some people might say there is some shame in terms of getting knocked out by a guy like Curtis Blades, but I will harp on this all week. It's the intimidation factor of the level change, the intimidation factor of the wrestling that had Chris Dawkins so hesitant in terms of letting his own strikes go and being so susceptible to the striking of Curtis Blades coming back to him. That's what eventually got him knocked out in that fight, in my opinion. But I think he's going to struggle, like you said, against some of these bigger guys, the big power that these guys are able to put on them. I'm not big on Rosenstruik. I would never bet him at minus 170 in this spot because he never really looks to maximize his knockout opportunity, because he doesn't strike or take the opportunity enough for me to be comfortable paying chalk on him. Even on his KO line at minus 125, I just don't feel good about it. But at the end of the day, you seem to agree with it. Your mom seems to agree with it as well. As you said, everybody and the mother is going to be on it, right? That he likely goes out there and knocks him out, minus 125. But that line is just not sexy enough for me to jump on. Here, from a prediction strike perspective, maybe it's good to just jump on it as a pump and dump. Go out there, get the win, take the profit, and just sell him. Because we know that he has a ceiling as well. He's not going to get a title shot. He probably doesn't crack the top 5 again, right? Chris Dawkins, he likely goes down to light heavyweight, especially even if the UFC decides to keep him around. That's another thing. This is going to be his 3rd loss in a row if he doesn't get his hand raised. We see UFC cut these guys all the time after 3 losses. True. So I'll go with Rosenstruik. I'll just say pump and dump. Buy him this weekend. Knocks out Chris Dawkins. I'm going to say Curtis.
Too many Chris's.
I know. Get that profit. Sell on him, and you'll be thankful for that.
Yeah, with the way their numbers are, you will get a decent little bump, either of these guys winning by finish. So that's maybe not a bad idea. Pump and dump this week for that one. Next up, Jay Perrin, 52 cents. You've got Raul Rosas Jr. at $1.26. Pardon me, the voice giving out on me there.
We're almost there, Clint.
Whoa, we're getting there. Lots of content to be had this week, Lock, these pay-per-view weeks. Man, Rosas, like, it's got to be Rosas. Now, I know a lot of people are talking about him taking the bath on Saturday, and I do think there's some merit to that. It's another spot where my Dana White Contender Series fade angle applies, but at the same time, this is a freaking 18-year-old kid. Folks, nobody gets to the UFC at 18 years old. So you know what that means? That means longevity. That means nice matchmaking. That means hype. That means they're going to bring them along and match make them soft. Like, this is the entry point. We don't have other entry points like this. If you're looking to invest long-term, by Raul Rosas Jr., in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. I am seeing that hesitancy from people on the Rosas Jr. side. Like everybody's, not everybody, but there are a fair group of people picking the Jay Perrin side, and I get it. Like
Mhm.
Cody brought up a great point on the Prop and You Up show that I just did before this, where he said, we saw Mokaev, a relatively young fighter, go out there and wipe the floor with some talent, and then he goes up against Malcolm Gordon and he's struggling. What if that happens here with Raul Rosas Jr.? It's absolutely possible, which is why I don't want to get tied to that minus 230 range in his money line perspective. But from a prediction strike perspective, if he does fulfill the potential that a lot of people believe he has, this line is going to look like a joke. Like this is going to be like you must have gamed the system to get $1.28 or
Yep.
$1.26 here on Raul Rosas Jr. So I don't mind getting in on him here. Because if he is any good, this will probably be the best price you're going to get on him. You're not going to see a big bump on him, even if he gets the W this weekend, but it's more so the long term perspective. He just turned 18, like a couple weeks after he got signed to the UFC off the Contender Series. The guy's got a long future ahead of him, and he's got the best base for MMA as well, right? Like the grappling, the wrestling, the jujitsu. It's
Yep.
very hard to deal with. It's a very safe style as well, where he's not taking a shit ton of damage, and he can have a very long career by staying safe in those positions. $1.20. What is it? My eyesight is killing
Dollar
me.
$26.
$1.26 looks amazing at this point in time. I'd probably jump on that myself.
That would be the way to go. Absolutely agreed. Bryce Mitchell, Thug Nasty, $2.79, taking on Ilya Taporia,
Ooh.
$1.75. See, and this is where shit gets interesting. So on Saturday, Ilya Taporia is a mild favorite here in this spot. So Thug Nasty is worth more on prediction strike at this moment, but the betting favorite, Ilya Taporia, is cheaper over here on this side of things. So you can actually buy in low on the favorite. If you think Ilya Taporia should win this fight, then you want to be on this platform buying over here when he gets that win, especially if you think he can put those hands to work. If he gets a finish over someone like Bryce Mitchell, given the price discrepancy, you're going to get a nice little return on your investment, even if it's just a pump and dump. But frankly, Locke, pick a lane, bro. Like if you're going to go with one of these boys, these are both long-term investments, in my opinion. Whichever side you think wins, even if you want to buy low on the side that loses after Saturday, these are the kind of guys I want to be investing in.
Yeah, both these guys have tremendous potential in this division, and no matter who wins, likely will find themselves in the top 6 to top 7 of this division. Right? They are very talented, in my opinion. I think there are more question marks about Ilya Taporia because of that. Like, he got the win over Yusuf Salah, but people want to continue to harp on that third round that he had there. But they continue to look over the fact that he took that fight on short notice. So let's cut him some slack in that aspect. And also that he got rocked by Jai Herbert, but overlooking the fact that he can battle back from adversity and still get his hand raised. I think he is a tremendous prospect. I think he has a lot of promise, but I feel like that the hype on him is trying to go past how good he actually is, similar to somebody that we'll be talking about in the co-main event. But I believe he can achieve that potential that his hype is at. He just needs to go out there and show it. So earlier this week when he was at minus 180, I had no intention of betting that fight. I just thought, there's no value there whatsoever. But here, minus 130 and on prediction strike as the quote unquote underdog in this matchup on prediction strike, I think you can get a damn good return on your investment should you bet him on the money line and should you bet or take some stocks on him here in the prediction strike world. $1.75 compared to the whatever $2.80 or 70 cents that Bryce Mitchell is at, you're getting a good bump should Taporia get his hand raised here. So I think this is a perfect way to go about it. You can either take the money line and the prediction strike side on Taporia, or just bet the money line on Bryce Mitchell. And there's no need to bet on him here in the prediction strike world because one, you're not going to. I don't think that the juice is worth the squeeze essentially in the prediction
Mhm.
strike realm for Bryce Mitchell in this spot. But you'd rather just take the plus money that you're going to get on the money line from the betting perspective. So pick your side, like you said, pick your lane. Bryce Mitchell, money line, or Taporia, prediction strike and money line, which I think is a damn good spot.
Absolutely. All right. I like it. I like it. We have got Darren Till, $3. Dear God, taking on Dricus Duplessis, $1.54. I don't know. How is he still $3, Locke? I mean, seriously, like this guy had to be like put in. And look, it goes, the options don't even go past a year. So, like, he's been hanging strong at a year at $3 for a year. How have people not sold off on Darren Till by now? My man should be like $1.98 at most. So Dricus du Plessis is, he's the hot new toy coming in here. He's had a decent little return already, 52% since they put him in the system, and I think are going to see a finish on Saturday. So regardless of which side you're on, this is another interesting spot. You've got a spot where Dricus du Plessis, much like that last fight, is the betting favorite and is cheaper here on Prediction Strike with high finishing upside. He's probably the side that you've got to look at here. Darren Till has been around. He's been there. He's done that. And the way he's been like withered and injured throughout his entire career, Lock, I don't want long-term investment on Darren Till, especially not starting at the $3 mark to get there, because frankly, I don't know how he gets back to another title shot if this is the Darren Till that we're going to be seeing. Like, he must have had some kind of serious transformation for me to believe that he's going to be worth $3 or more moving forward. It's Dricus or pass, and I kind of think Darren Till knocks Dricus out on Saturday. So I don't know that I even want to do that. Like, wait till after Saturday. If this bad boy dips to, back down to $1, then maybe jump in or something. I'm not sure. I don't really want either of these guys from a long-term standpoint, I don't think.
Yeah, like that's the big question mark. What kind of Darren Till are we going to get? That's why I'm so scared about investing any money into this fight. But I think Prediction Strike gives us the avenue in terms of exploiting the most money that you can get if you like the Dricus du Plessis side. Like, he's half the price of Darren Till. You would see a solid bump in his number should he go out there and get the win this weekend. Like, his money line, -180, -170, I want nothing to do with it because of the big question mark that Darren Till brings. But on the Darren Till side, you want nothing to do on the Prediction Strike side of things. But his money line, not looking too bad at that juicy underdog odds that he's currently at. So, like I was saying about the Bryce Mitchell and Topuria fight, you can kind of pick and choose your side here. Du Plessis to the Prediction Strike side of things, or if you like Darren Till, no need to invest on him at $3. You're not getting much, reward if you go out there and buy his stock and he wins this weekend. Just put that money that you're going to put it there onto his money line. You'll definitely reap more rewards over there. But I'm going to go on the opposite side here. I do think du Plessis is the one that gets his hand raised. But yeah, I would likely buy some stocks here on Prediction Strike on du Plessis and hopefully cash this weekend.
I like it. Game in the system. That's the way to do it. Santiago Ponzinibbio, $1.41, taking on Alex Morono at $1.39. This is where, again, man, we're just getting into that territory where I don't think Prediction Strike needs to take my money on this fight. Like, I know we're supposed to be pumping them up and telling you guys to go use promo code LOCK and deposit and invest. There's other spots. This ain't the fight. Santiago Ponzinibbio is an old man at this point. He's had the injury issues and concerns. While I don't think that that's quite as big a deal as it's being made out to be by a lot of people, I do think that, long term, that's a reason not to invest in him in Prediction Strike. Money line on Saturday, sure. Prediction Strike, no. Alex Morono, he's got a ceiling. He's going to be a fun gatekeeper-esque type of fighter, not another one who's going to make a run, for being a contender or getting up to that $4 mark ever. I don't see any point in putting your money long-term on Alex Morono. Again, money line on Saturday, sure. Not here.
Yeah, I do honestly like the Santiago Ponzinibbio side myself. I think that Alex Morono is pretty much just going to be target practice for him here. And I love Morono, right? Like, I feel like me and you broke down the Morono and Semmelsberger fight together. I forgot what it was for. And I think you liked the Semmelsberger side there. And I could see why you would have liked him there because of that plodding forward moving style, eating damage and just hoping that his durability holds up so that he can put more punches on you. Some nights it's going to work out. Some nights it's not. It worked out that night against Semmelsberger. I don't think it works out here against Ponzinibbio, who's just going to be torching him up from the jump here. I think he eventually knocks him out. From a long-term perspective, though, I'm not sure how much we're really going to get out of Ponzinibbio. I do think that, he gets a decent bump here by beating Morono, but I think he does showcase that he's going to lose, against a higher level in this division, like he did against Michel Pereira, like he did against Jeff Neal, like he did against Li Jingliang. But he should be able to beat the guys of the Alex Morono caliber, in my opinion. So pump and dump this weekend on Ponzinibbio, I'd say.
I don't mind it. I don't mind that one bit. We're getting down to the last couple fights here, folks. Patty the Batty, $2.20. He is up 90%. Folks, there's not been a lot of I told you so moments for your boy here this year. This is one of them. I told you guys the very first time we did a Prediction Strike show that you want your money on Patty the baddie. I said, get invested, buy some shares. He's up 91% already.
Wild.
And with Barstool behind him and soft matchmaking, this number is only going to get better. Not to mention the finishes that he comes by that bumps his price tag up even better, even faster. Like, this is the kind of guy that you want to be in on. Jared Gordon, I know he's everybody's darling out there right now. He's 80 cents. He's been hovering around the same level since Prediction Strike got the ball rolling with this guy. There's just not a lot of upside. He's a grinder. He's not going to get finishes. That price tag is not going to get boosted, even if he does pull the upset a couple times and steals some shine from people. Again, he's not a title shot guy. He's not a contender guy. He's not going to get up to that $4 range. This is not a guy I have any interest in investing in on Saturday or any time whatsoever. Patty the Baddie, once again, I know a lot of people have that opinion of him that he's limited. He's got a short ceiling. He's not everything he's all cracked up to be. But frankly, I think he's going to end up being kind of a Sean O'Malley type where he gets good matchmaking and they push him along through the division. And he's going to see heights that maybe he shouldn't. So I think Patty the Baddie is investable in this spot. I think he's the side you want to be on. And honestly, I do think he does what he's supposed to against Jared Gordon on Saturday. So it may not add a whole lot of value to his number because of the discrepancy in their values, but I do think Patty Baddie is the side.
Well, unfortunately, Clint, I'm on the other side. I got Jared Gordon as my dog of the night play this weekend. I do think he has a style to give Patty the Baddie some fits. My only holdup, and which is why I'm not going like lock of the night deep on it by any means, is the durability questions of Jared Gordon, right? Like that's how he loses. He gets knocked out, he gets hurt, he gets choked out. Like that's absolutely possible in this matchup against Patty. Patty, you know, his strength is his grappling, but he throws with absolute heat on the feet. And I'm going to be clinching my butt cheeks the entire fight. But I think that for the majority of this, the better minute winner is going to be Jared Gordon. He's going to be keeping his foot on the gas, pushing him up against the cage, staying in his face, boxing him up, maybe landing a couple of takedowns and grinding him out. But as long as he stays conscious, he is live to win this fight, man. We've seen Patty, you know, pretty much face adversity in every single one of his fights in the UFC thus far, but he manages to come back and get the win. But I think Jared Gordon is the best fighter he's fought in the UFC to date. And I think we're getting a great betting line on him. I got him around plus 217 earlier this week. And even on the prediction strike side of things, at 80 cents going up against a $2.22 guy, you're going to get a solid bump should he get the win. But I think Gordon has a ceiling as well, right? Like I think he beats a Paddy Pimblett, but I'm not sure how much further than that he goes. So similar to a couple other spots that we talked about earlier on in the card here, possible pump and dump on the Jared Gordon side for my side, for me personally speaking. But I like the money line. I like his prediction strike. Patty, if you do think he wins this weekend, $2.22 is not a bad jumping off point, but you already said it, Clint. I want to call you Cody again. God damn. Why do both you guys have?
I thought you were going to call me kid.
Start off.
Yeah, I hear you, kid.
But yeah, like you said it yourself. He is going to eventually fight a guy who is too skilled for him, and then he's going to crumble down after that. But I think it's still going to take a couple more fights. Like after this Jared Gordon fight, they might still give him a couple other softballs here, but I think that Gordon is that diamond in the rough that a lot of people are overlooking just because he has been finished a couple of times. You know, out of his 4 UFC losses, I believe all of them have come via finish. Hopefully it holds up here against Patty, because otherwise I think that he just puts him through the ringer and just grinds this fight out and wins it relatively easily. Well, not easily. He's going to be fighting fire the entire time, but I think he wins this fight and looks much better than the plus 210 indicates, or even that the 80 cents indicates here on Prediction Strike. Let's go with the Flash Man, Jared Gordon.
Okay. Flash Man for lock, Patty for me. Little disagreement here. Main event time. Jan Blachowicz taking on Magomed Ankalaev, and I cannot believe, look at Magomed already sitting up there around the $5.26 mark, up 60%. Jan, you know, he's an old man already by this point. He's also at $5.76, still up 19.75%. And frankly, Locke, I know this is going to make you insanely happy. I do think that my guy Jan Blachowicz is live potentially on Saturday to pull the upset. However,
say it, Clint.
Don't invest in him in Prediction Strike. Long term, Magomed Ankalaev is the much younger fighter. He is an absolute monster. He's going to be the guy who's challenging for the belt. Might even hold it on Saturday, but if he doesn't, he'll be back. You know, this is a guy that we're going to see around the top 5 of the division for a long time. this price tag could potentially go up. As usual with Prediction Strike, though, Lock, I don't like the main events because these guys are the guys that have been around forever. It's hard to
Yeah.
justify buying in on Magomed Ankalaev at $5.26. Like, yeah, if he gets a finish, maybe he bumps up to what, 550, 560, $6, something like that. At this point, it's just not as big of an increase as you would have seen if you had got in down here at this $3 mark when he was a fresh, baby face fighter in the UFC. So I will agree with you. It's Magomed or pass from a Prediction Strike standpoint, but I don't think I'll be buying either of these stocks personally.
I can't wait for the Ankalaev and Hill fight. We know it's on the horizon, right? Hill's going to go out there, do work against Anthony Smith. I believe that fight's in February or March or whenever the hell it is. But they're going to face off eventually. Look at him. What is he at now? $2.21?
Beautiful price tag. Look at that. $3.21.
$3.21.
So that knockout is going to pay gorgeously, both, betting wise and on Prediction Strike when Hill gets his crack at your boy Ankalaev.
What's Anthony Smith at? If you can pull him up.
And I lost the number now.
I'm sure there's like another Anthony Smith that's probably a football player as well. Goddamn generic ass names.
Of course, I didn't spell Magomed's name right. Get it? We're off the rails. Smith is $3.30.
Okay, so like Hill probably won't go up too much if he beats Anthony Smith. But getting back to this matchup, I do think Ankalaev wins. Obviously, surprise. I think that this is a good
surprise. Only been beating the drum for 2 years.
But I'm gonna slightly disagree with you on the fact that like you don't see the value in terms of betting him or buying in on him at $5.26. But this is a guy that I truly believe has longevity in as a light heavyweight champion, right? Like Jamal Hill is probably going to be his toughest test, considering how the dangerous Jamal Hill is with the striking. But I do think Ankalaev still passes that test, and then he's just going to keep turning away contender after contender and after contender, and before we know it, he probably finds himself at $8 or $9. And you're going to be thankful that you got in at $5.25. Like, I don't think it's too late to get in on him at this price tag. Because even if he loses against Blachowicz, he's not going to go down a lot. And before we know it, in the next year and a half, he's probably right back there fighting for another title. And you might be wishing that you got the $5.25 range. So I don't mind buying Magomed Ankalaev here. I personally bet him as my lock I played earlier this week at minus 255. I thought that was a great line because I think he's just that much better than Blachowicz. But yeah, from a Prediction Strike perspective, you'll get a decent bump this weekend should he get his hand raised, and then just hold on to him. What's the rush? Why we got to sell him? The guy's going to be ruling this division for the years to come. So you can slowly sell off your profit and just reap the rewards throughout the years. But like I think that this is a guy that you can hold on for a long time, and he'll continue to make money every single time that he goes out there and competes. And you'll be thankful that you got that $5.26 price rather than $8 or whatever he'll be at in the next fight or two.
Okay. That's there you have it. Locke is far stronger there on the main event than I am. And folks, that is a nice, quick, bow-wrapped Prediction Strike episode for you guys from the Deadlock Podcast. Thank you all for hanging out with us. Those of you that are here, smash the like button for us on your way out the door. I am going to go eat some food, Locke. Your boy is tired. I'm going to get some grub.
Yes, sir. I'm starving right now. Your boy been knocking out content all day. Time to eat.
You were on that stream long before I was, so I know I can't bitch too much because you definitely have that one taken care of.
I've been sitting in this chair since 5 o'clock, 4:45. So
definitely time to stretch the legs, and it's about press conference time too. So
yes,
all right, everybody. We're going to cut you loose. Have a wonderful evening. We will see you all for more betting action, obviously, soon. And hey, the return of the Deadlock Podcast in a couple of weeks. We haven't decided yet if we're going to do it next week or the week after because we've, you know what? It's Christmas that weekend, probably next week. But we'll talk about it. We'll get back to you guys, and we will do an episode for you to wrap up 2022. We're going to have some fun with it. So everybody hang out, smash the like button, subscribe here, and support Locke, and also Prediction Strike, and also go over and follow our Deadlock channel if you haven't done that already. Good luck gambling. Have a wonderful week.
Peace.